All right, we keeping Mr. Leon back around, and this time we talking about his handle, Go Tigers Go. Obviously, when we're taping this, we're coming off of the Memphis Tigers dropping their home season finale against South Florida. Now, at the time, they were 12-18. I think that was their 7th loss in a row.
Yes.
Now, I got to ask Leon the question that a lot of people have. Was that the last time we've seen Penny with the Tigers coaching in FedEx Forum?
In my honest opinion, I think he has one more year, to turn things around, unless you're going to find somebody to pay this big buyout that's roughly $6 million. And besides that, I really feel like he's going to get another year. I did an interview with Dane Danger, and we spoke about why this year was potentially bad. Dane Danger, when I spoke to him, he said he blames this year on the NCAA because he did not get the ruling that he would be denied until it was a day before the NBA draft. And that means that Coach Penny Hardaway was planning to bring this guy around, to bring him back, but under short circumstances, he was forced to pretty much just make something happen out of nothing when it came to recruiting. Because his idea was he was going to bring P.J. Haggerty back with Dane Danger and make another run. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and we saw the struggles of this year. And it just was it's been a bad year.
Yeah.
But it's not like Penny hasn't had good years.
Yeah, he won the conference the year before.
Absolutely. It finished in the top 25.
Yeah. So obviously we've had more very prominent media members come out and speak out about how this is just unacceptable and how we have given Penny too many chances. And I think that's kind of unfair because I think in this world of NIL, Memphis not being in the Power Four, and we can talk about that if you want to. It's just they're always going to be at a competitive disadvantage unless they really have a lot of money poured into the program. And it seems like they're on their way of getting more money, but the fact of the matter is, and Ruben, if he was here, he would say like I told you so. The money to get the top players is just not going to be there. I mean, yeah, we got Aaron Bradshaw, who came from Ohio State. But Aaron Bradshaw, if we just call him a buck, he was riding the bench at Ohio State. He wasn't like a prominent player like that. And so still, we had to spend a lot of our budget on a guy like that. So looking at the future for Memphis, I mean, we kind of alluded to it in our high school segment. For Penny, it might be recruiting these high school guys. But as we also talked about, because the talent is so well here for a guy like a Braylon Williams or a Josh Huggins, maybe they don't want to stay home. Maybe they end up going to a P4 because they are P4 talented players. So, Leon, if I'm asking you today, what do you think is the solution for Tigers basketball to kind of get back to that point? Because I look at that South Florida game, man, it was so many empty seats. I joke, but it might be the truth. It might have been more people at the Whitehaven Bartlett game than it was Memphis Tigers basketball. And that's crazy to say that there's been more people at a high school basketball game than a Division I college basketball game.
Well, with all fairness, this city likes to see winning programs. And what they've been showing lately on the court, it just hasn't been that. And last night, though, against South Florida on Thursday, Memphis had a lot of fight in them. It was a close game. It wasn't as bad as the score seems that it was, but going forward, Coach Penny Hardaway will have a off season. We have a full off season to prepare and recruit the guys that he needs. He's going to put pieces around potential guys like Fred Smith Jr. and Cello Jackson, and these guys are going to get back in the NCAA tournament. It's not like it's a job that can't happen. I really feel like with the proper timing and a budget, Coach Penny Hardaway will turn this thing around.
We always talk about hindsight being 20/20, and I think it's known that maybe he shouldn't have put all his eggs in the basket of PJ and Dane because this is what happens. And that is the truth. Like you said, he thought that those two guys were going to come back and he was going to make a run, and when it didn't happen, he had to scramble. Do you think that that's kind of the overarching lesson is, hey, man, you can't operate with any definites. You always have to operate with the unknown. So do you think that, obviously we know he's going to obviously recruit better, but do you think that that is the selling point that he has to make to a Dr. Ed Scott, but say like, hey, like I made the wrong call this year. You give me another year, I'll do it better. But I also need more money because PJ ain't lighting the world on fire at Kansas State. They got their own problems that I've even heard there might be some talk about PJ coming back. So I don't know, but hey, what do you think?
I talked about that for a while, about PJ possibly coming back, because the simple fact is he's putting up great numbers in college basketball, but it's not really translating to potential NBA first rounder. And his best years of college basketball was in Tiger Blue.
Yep.
I mean, he was a conscious All-American. I mean, he's putting up the same numbers, if not a tad bit better, but no one's talking about it. He comes back, put up those same numbers, he could potentially help shift his career and also get a good payday.
Now, something that Penny said after that South Florida was he was talking about he would rather go through the hard non-conference he had than the soft schedule and be, you know, when you look at the record. But Mr. Jeff, who we've had on this program, kind of tweeted out about it. Like, you talk about that non-conference, it's only 3 of those teams who will be tournament teams with Purdue, Louisville, and Vanderbilt. So, I mean, I get what Penny is getting at, but what do you think about it? Because we look at the losses. Ole Miss, not a tournament team. We talk about it all the time with our Stephen Willis. Baylor's not a tournament team. Mississippi State's not going to be a tournament team. Wake Forest is not going to be a tournament team. So I don't know if you can use the non-conference thing as a scapegoat, you know, as with the record. I mean, the old adage, you are what you are. You are what your record is, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, they still aren't winning games.
Yeah, I mean, you're on a 7-game losing streak in your conference right
that
now.
You were projected to win.
Exactly.
Like, we looked at it going into conference like, okay, they didn't do well in the non-con, but they'll get right in the conference. That never happened.
Never happened.
We always thought that they were going to turn a corner. It didn't happen. I think Penny backed himself into a corner at the beginning of the season, and I appreciate the man standing on business. He said this was the most talented team he's ever had. And so when you say that, when you use that superlative, you got to show it. And I just haven't seen it. I love what I've seen from Doug McDaniel. I love what I've seen from Julius Stedford. I do like what I've seen from Bradshaw at times. I like what I've seen from Curtis Givens. But I think the problem with this team is, I've said it from the jump, they have too many guards. And you've seen it at times. There's times where they've thrown some lineups out there where you got Julius Stedford playing the 5. And so that allows teams to just beat you down in the post. I think, obviously, in this world of college basketball, you can always go out and get a good guard. Now, are you going to have somebody like P.J. Haggerty, who is like an upper echelon? No, because Doug McDaniel, he's not as good as P.J. Haggerty, but he's still really good. I think going forward, and, you know, feel free to chime in your take, Leon, is Penny needs to kind of start from the bottom up, as far like start from the big man and go out. So he needs to go find an impact big man like Dane, like a Dane Danger, and then build his team around that, because you'll always find good guards.
Honestly, I just feel like this shows how hard it is to recruit kids out of the transfer portal, because what you have to understand is when the portal opens up, you don't have that much time to build a relationship or do your evaluations. You're going to go off film instead of truly recruiting a kid like you would in high school, where you seen him from summer to winter to making a decision. You're going on based on potential and potential of where they came from. Like, example, you look at Tyrese Hunter last season. He came from Texas. This guy came from a winning program. And then you throw in Doug McDaniel, good player, but has never been a winner. Then you throw in the other guys, similar situations, good players, but never been a winner. So now you got these team full of guys who have potential, they know how to play, but they don't know how to win.
I guess the biggest example you had of somebody who was a winning player was Sincere Parker with McNeese State.
Right.
You know, and we talked about it with Terry Davis. That's a guy who can give you instant offense. But, I mean, we talk about Sincere Parker, but we also have to acknowledge the off-the-court stuff. And I think I was just so surprised by how, like, the program treated that this season compared to, like, what we've seen in the past. Now, obviously, it ended up getting dismissed and everything, but we've seen in all levels, in all sports, when people are dealing with something like that, with a domestic violence thing, you could keep them off the court until it all gets sorted out. For him to play through that and still have the season he had, I think that shows for the type of trust that Penny has in him, that the trust that the program has in him. And and I think that in a way we should kind of give Penny some grace for that. I mean, I might be wrong, but I mean, Penny dealt with a player who obviously had these legal troubles. He had to suspend 2 guys, ended up kicking 1 off the team, and then, could not get a starting lineup intact because they had like 15 different starting lineups?
17 to be exact.
Exactly. So, when you kind of look at that, I think we should kind of give Penny some grace and give him 1 more season. So, I mean, what do you think? I mean, like, that's just a crazy. And then every time they lost, Penny never blamed it really on the guys. And that's kind of what made me feel bad for him. He always looked at himself, even though deep down he knows it's not him. He can't play. All he can do is coach and try to inspire the guys. But he always put it on him. Even in the end, he'll say, hey, it's on me. And I respect a guy like that, and that's why I would rock with him. And I know there's some people out there who think that he should have never took the job to begin with. And I sometimes think that, okay, if he does leave the Tigers, what is next for him? Does he go back to high school? We see he's very prominent, obviously, in the community for high school. He knows the talent. But Penny is a feel-good story of a guy who is from this area, made it into the league, and then now he's coming back and coaching his alma mater and really trying to inspire. And he's trying to bridge the gap from high school to college as far as like growing up here in Memphis and then playing and donning that Tiger blue. I think that's something that you shouldn't be so quick to let go of, because I'm pretty sure if you bring in the next guy and it doesn't work, then we'll be saying we shouldn't never let go of Penny.
Absolutely. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's a Memphis legend. And this man literally cried in an interview because of the struggles of this year. And nobody wants to win more than Coach Penny Hardaway. He knows what this city wants. They want to be on the big stage. They want to win. They're basically fighting for that opportunity. And it's just been a hard situation. His best year, to me, was when he had Kendrick Davis and DeAndre Williams. And that was just a team where everybody bought in, everybody knew their role. And that following year, you had David Jones and Javon Quinterly, and it fell apart. But guess what? After that failed year, they bounced back. That's when you had P.J. Haggerty. So when this man's back is against the wall, he shows that he can prevail. I just feel like people need to be patient with it.
Absolutely. Now, we got to get you out of here in a little bit. So looking at the overall scope of Tiger basketball, as of right now, Alex Simmons is still the head basketball coach of the women's team, but it's looking like we're hearing reports that she might be on the outs, especially after the team did not qualify for the conference tournament. A phenomenal individual, a very nice person. We've had her on the program before. My heart goes out for her because I know she really wants to win and just couldn't get it together. Now, obviously, dealing with their own legal troubles with their player, Paris Gaines. So when you're looking at it in the whole Tigers athletics, the 2 biggest things are basketball and football. Now, with football, Silverfield kind of gave us a way out because he left on his own. There were calls to fire him, and he left to go to Arkansas. So that gave Dr. Ed Scott a blank slate to go get his guy with Coach Huff. Now he looks like he's going to go be able to get his person with the women's basketball. If he lets go of Penny, he'll be able to get his guy. But if he keeps Penny, which what we're both on this program saying he should do, you got to make it count. What is the way forward to get Tigers basketball back to being on a prominence so that we can even really get back in the conversation of being in P4? Because you got to look at it, Leon. What used to be peers used to have Houston in this conference, P4 school. Used to have Cincinnati in this conference, now a P4 school. It seems like everybody is passed Memphis by. UCF, Cincinnati, BYU, Houston, all P4. And now, like, Memphis now seems like the girl that's left at prom without a date. You know what I'm saying? So what does Memphis have to do? And I mean, maybe it might be something outside of athletics and it happens in the cities. Obviously, we've had the pro athletes talk about the hotels and the perception of Memphis. But what does the university have to do to be able to get into that conversation and get the respect? Because I think things aren't really going to be able to change for the better all the way until they get into a P4. But what do they have to do to kind of even get knocking on the door for a Big 12 to be interested? Because they tried to join the Big 12 and the Big 12 said no. You know what I'm saying? So maybe do we improve better to get back in the Big 12? Do they try to get in the ACC? What do you think is the way forward? Right
now, I feel like they need to control where they're at because in football, you haven't won the conference. Women's basketball, like you said, they didn't even make the tournament. So before you talk about going somewhere else, let's take care of the situation at hand. Because right now, Coach Penny Hardaway is the only one that's won a conference championship. This big year is ahead for everybody. Coach Huff, I mean, he got some shoes to fill, but I think he can get it done. But his motto is closing the gap. So he has to get this team past winning 8 games. They need to win 10 games and win the conference.
Leon, we definitely appreciate your time on the program. Tell the people real quick what you be working on the day-to-day.
Go Tigers 247. You can read my articles on that website where we talk about Tiger football, Tiger basketball, and you can also catch me on Facebook and Twitter, Leon King Taylor on Facebook, where I talk about high school football, high school basketball, every sports topic you'll find on my page.
Thank you for joining us on the 24th floor, Leon.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir. We are back after this.
Right.